In the Rocky Mountain village of Provo, Utah, a very special boy was born to George Washington and Elizabeth Baum Bean. From the time he was very young, Willard Bean was full of energy. He was a natural athlete. He jumped and ran, tumbled and cartwheeled to the delight of everyone in the village. His father had lost an arm in the Civil War. He was a Superior Court judge and an avid boxing fan. One day, he took his young son to a prize fight up in Salt Lake City, and from that moment on, young Willard Bean knew what he wanted to do with the rest of his life. Oh, this was much better than running or jumping or even doing cartwheels. He liked boxing in the squared circle. He longed to be a prize fighter. I want to be a prize fighter. It's my great goal in life. I want to be a prize fighter. It's free of toil and strife. If you're a great prize fighter, you make a lot of friends. I'll become a prize fighter, a great prize fighter today. Willard's mother had other ideas. She'd had a dream in which Willard was a wonderful missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Willard was torn between his desire to build his career as a professional boxer and his mother's hope that he would build the kingdom on a mission. His father had an idea of his own. He suggested that Willard travel to Salt Lake City and tell the prophet about his desires to box and serve a mission. He said that President John Taylor would know what to do. And that's how a young boxer from Provo with a desire to build the kingdom ended up in the office of the president of the church. "What should I do?" he asked the wise President Taylor. "Well, I think you can do both, Brother Bean," the prophet replied. "Just remember to use all your talents to help build the kingdom." Then the prophet had an idea. He asked Willard if he would like to go to the town of Manti and become a temple missionary for a few months until he was old enough to serve a proselyting mission. "I'll do anything I can to help build the kingdom," said Willard. So he went home, he packed a bag, and he said farewell to his friends and family. In Manti, he helped the aging president of the temple, Daniel H. Wells, and became a champion in the baptistry. Using his Aaronic priesthood, he performed a record 1,000 baptisms for the dead in the beautiful font that rested on the backs of 12 massive stone oxen in the basement of the temple. He thanked the other temple workers when they offered him a chance to rest. But he said, "You know, I promised the 19th Quorum of Elders I'd pitch for their baseball team this afternoon." And off he went to build the kingdom on the baseball diamond. He led the 19th Quorum of Elders to victory that afternoon, and then he sat down to rest. By the time Willard Bean turned 21, he'd become the national middleweight boxing champion of the United States of America. He also learned a lot about the teachings of the Savior as he helped the presiding bishopric visit the saints in the colonies in Mexico. Willard took care of their mules. He did the cooking, and then around the campfire in those long desert nights, he listened as these three experienced general authorities discussed the gospel. He listened hard. Then, one day, Willard got a letter from Box B in Salt Lake City. That's where the mission calls were mailed from. And he reported to the Southern States Mission in Nashville, Tennessee, and his new mission president, J. Golden Kimball. Elder Bean met his new companion, a timid little elder named Moroni Q. Green. Their mission president told them the South was a dangerous place for Mormons. Elder Bean might have to use his boxing skills to defend his companion and defend himself. Sure enough, as they walked through the woods in search of people to teach the gospel, they saw handbills nailed to the trees that warned, "Mormon missionaries will be shot on sight." That didn't stop Elder Bean. he printed other notices and he nailed them over the top of the mob's handbills. They read, "Mobbers will be preached to on sight." It wasn't long before Elder Bean and Elder Green had their chance to make good on that printed promise. The two missionaries were suddenly surrounded by a drunken mob of Mormon haters who tore off the missionary suit coats and their shirts, and then they looked for a rope to tie both missionaries to trees for a whipping. The timid Elder Green began to cry. But Elder Bean had another idea. "This isn't fair," he shouted at the leader of the mob. "Why don't you pick your best boxer and I'll give them a fair fight, and if I win, you can sit here on this fallen log and I'll preach to you. If you win, you can go ahead and tie us up and whip us." Elder Green gulped nervously and then muttered a feeble, "Yeah." Down in the hollow, the leader of the mob laughed an evil laugh. He took off his coat, he put up his fists, and then watched in drunken amazement as the limber Elder Bean did backflips and danced around, ducking and punching. Just then, President J. Golden Kimball and the whole zone conference came to the forest, and they found Elder Bean boxing the leader of the mob.
"Get a rope for Elder Bean. Get a rope for Elder Bean. He's ready to be whipped. He will never get away. We'll tie him down and whip him good. Get a rope for Elder Bean. Get a rope for Elder Bean." Get a rope for Elder Bean. Get a rope for Elder Bean. He's firing in the cloud and there's no time to spare. We'll march right down and rescue him. Get a rope for Elder Bean. Get a rope for Elder Bean.
Elder Bean won the match, and he preached to the mobbers. And some of those mobbers actually felt the Spirit, repented, and joined the church. He was using his boxing skills and his other talents to help build the kingdom.